Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Fink, for this this great demonstration. What about your opinion on the progressive transformation from acoustic to maybe other type of mechanical waves in this approach of tunable design of panel or something that control maybe not the seismic waves, but something like this?
I have made one talk about this to a big community of geophysicists. And they were so excited by looking the reconfigurable intelligent surface that they say, we need this to play with seismic wave, to cancel them. Or the problem is that if there is a seismic wave that comes, the reconfigurable intelligent surface can move also. And it's a little bit difficult. Somewhere here, we are thinking of an ideal metasurface that don't move and that we control. If it is acoustic wave, it will not move too much. If it is seismic wave or water wave, because we are thinking of this for water wave also, the reconfigurable mirror or the reconfigurable lens cannot be shifted by the mechanical energy itself. Or it can be, but you have to play with this. But it can be an idea to protect place.
So do we have any more questions regarding electromagnetic, water waves, seismic waves, acoustic waves? You know, Professor Fink has worked on all these types of waves. I've got one question, Professor Fink. Can you explain a little bit the history of greener wave?
Okay, it's nice, but when we have this idea, when we build the first metasurface, we say, okay, we must do something with this. And because in our lab, we have created some startup, with Geoffroy Lerosey, we decided to make a company. And we found the first CEO. He was very excited by this idea of reconfigurable surface. And we were thinking that we will excite many people to have more. And in fact, it was a nightmare. Everybody tell us, oh, yeah, it's a nice idea, but you have to work with big company because you have to control both the base station. You have also to know on the telephone. We try to use our own telephone to see what is the level of signal to improve the communication rate. But in your telephone, you can see just an average of the amplitude that comes on the telephone. You don't receive the exact signal. And if you want to know the signal, you have to discuss with big telephone company, and they don't want to give you this. And we were in a position where the idea was nice. We cannot make a demonstration. We just do demonstration without telephone, with antenna and with mirror. And during 3 years, we were trying to convince people that open a telephone, explain us how you use your base station, if there are different antenna, how we can play with this. And in fact, we have no success, and really no success. And our company was nearly dying. And Geoffroy Lerosey, who is a very bright researcher, decided that it is pity and he will go in the company full time. And because he say we can use this metasurface not only to do this, but we can build satellite antenna that track satellite with this. Instead of having many antenna, we use just one antenna plus a metasurface. For 5G millimetric, people are building things. and we decide to make the company to go in very different application. And now, with this, now the company is growing. It has a lot of money coming from different grants, and different people are interested for radar, for car, for 5G antenna, sat antenna. And the same technology is very interesting. Now, we are at a very interesting time where suddenly everybody speaks of this. And now our company perhaps can come back on this RIS or SIA or LIS, but it is not easy. And my feeling is that if you are in France, where people don't give too much money for startup, for something which are too risky, very difficult. I think the only good way is to work with one very big company. There is one in China and two in Europe. Because all this mathematics that has to go, because we don't want to send just on one telephone signal. We want to send to many telephones. And all this has to be spread. And you have to define new protocol that use the concept of intelligent home or intelligent city. All this is a huge mathematical problem. And a small startup, except we can build this metasurface. Just a thing, if you are interested by this metasurface for research, Greener Wave is ready to sell this metasurface, to play with it at different frequency. But to go in this big business, it is not simple when you are in France. I think with this in America, it's much more easier. And David Schmidt is pushing different company and things which are quite similar to this, but we have something which is very robust and very simple. In fact, it is not too sophisticated because it is a digital surface, two-state, and maximizing, and it's much more easy. You can imagine a better things where you control the face perfectly. But this, if you have 1,000 of these pixels, it's a nightmare. And I think we have something good. We are now looking for young researchers that want to go in Greener Wave. There are positions in Greener Wave for people which are interested by this. And we think a lot that we have something interesting. And we think also that this metasurface can be soft. And that you can use them to increase many things in city. The startup is working perfect, but we are not becoming Huawei. But Huawei is interested, and Nokia and Ericsson say, this can be useful. But it's quite interesting because in France, especially, people are very afraid of 5G. And there is a lot of problem in France. All the newspapers say 5G is too dangerous. This is a good solution to convince them that it's perhaps not too dangerous because you can limit the energy you send, but locally you will do the job. But the story, Geoffroy decided to go in the company full time, and now it's become really interesting.
So, just for people, can you perhaps recall? So, Geoffroy Leroset is a senior CNRS researcher.
Yeah.
And so, to save the company, what you're telling us is that he had to take a study leave from CNRS to be full time in the industry to save the company.
Yeah.
That's what's happening, huh? Okay.
And now he's not the CEO of the company, but he's the CTO, and he's in charge of research and development. But it has completely changed the impact of the company because as a full-time guy who understands really what can be all the application, discussions are much more efficient.
And can you say in what happened to this great company in Aix-en-Provence Ultrasonics, what recently opened?
No, okay. We have created many companies from my lab, from the research I'm working on. And one nice company was a company on ultra-fast imaging for medical, ultra-fast ultrasonic imaging. And we have made a nice company from our patent to make the map of the elasticity inside the body. And we make this nice French company with French guys who are all in United States. And when we have found our idea to do what we call supersonic imaging, they came back from United States, 11 of them, and they create this company in Aix-en-Provence. And we get a lot of money because the guy that came, the leader was Jacques Souquet, who was the head of Philips Medical System, on the research and development of Philips Medical System. And because he came in France to create a company from our lab, we get a lot of money. He get 10 million euros the first time, and after 75 million euros. And the company grows till 175 people. But when the company reach this kind of size in France, when it is a company on some new technological rupture, very difficult to grow enough. And what happened last year, the company was bought by an American company. And now it's become a big American company on the health for women. And now, we are American. But I will say, I play a lot with this. From the research we have in the lab, we have created other company. One becomes Chinese, EcoSense, which was a very nice company to measure the stiffness of liver for controlling fibrosis. And the company, when it becomes successful, more than 50 people, it was bought by China. And in fact, my experience of this is that it is, I speak for French people and not for the other guy, but is that it is impossible in France to create a company that will become big, except if you do service, but not if you do some new technological stuff. The company will never finish French. But it is like this. But we try to push.
It's very interesting to hear about this because the future of metamaterials, it's also, industrial applications. If we want this to develop, we really need to create startups. It's my opinion. We've got Kun Tong who wants to ask a question, I think.
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay. Do you have some idea how to apply the optimization for the photoacoustic imaging? For example, we have one laser, and we can have an array of ultrasound transducer to receive the signal. We can modulate the frequency of the laser, and it's like half frequency optimization and half the space. Do you have any idea about this?
Well, in fact, it's not related to this, but we have worked on photoacoustic, and in fact, in our lab, and now Emmanuel Bossy is in Grenoble, we developed a concept of photoacoustic transfer matrix. You are playing, you are sending optical energy in a medium like tissue. It is a diffusive regime where you cannot focus easily. And locally, when there are absorption of light, because the attenuation of light is strong, it's created, if you send a short pulse of light, it's create a dilation of this part that emits sound. And when you record with many ultrasonic antenna this sound, which is emitted, you can play with this, and you can in fact record a kind of photoacoustic matrix. And if you are doing the singular value decomposition of this matrix, it will allow you to obtain a very fine focusing on each absorbing point. Bon, we have done something. I am not no more working on this, but this concept of matrix, I have speak in my talk of the transfer matrix between two set of antenna. It was only matrix for electromagnetic wave, and I have shown you that the singular value decomposition of this matrix is very important because it is related to all the invariants through a time reversal operation in the medium. And this is true not only for matrix in electromagnetic wave, it is also true in optics. And you can also define matrix for multi-wave when you mix two kinds of waves. And by playing with this matrix, but in some cases you can improve the focusing and the quality of image. But it is too long, we can discuss this later. But we are pushing in our lab, and especially we have a very good expert on this, which is Alexandre Aubry, a new way to do image that we call matrix imaging. And the idea is that you record a matrix or in transmission or in reflection. And now from this matrix that we record, which comes from multi-illumination on the medium, we go through the singular value decomposition of this matrix to optimize the focusing everywhere in the medium and to make better image. And this is a nice concept that we push now. And in photoacoustic, I think Emmanuel Bossy, which is in Grenoble, is working on this.
Okay.
So for those who don't know Emmanuel Bossy, he has designed a software, a freeware, which looks at the propagation of elastic waves in the time domain, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It's freely available. You know, you mentioned some papers you had 25 years ago with De Rode and Philippe Roux. Can we perhaps go back to those papers on time reversal?
Yeah. It was the first demonstration of the possibility of refocusing through multiple scattering in ultrasound. Later, 15 years after, people have done this in optics with spatial light modulator. But this was, I think, no, sorry, it is just after. Yeah. It was this paper. Yeah.
So that's really the foundation paper, if I'm not mistaken, and afterwards they've done it for any kind of waves.
Yeah. It was after Allard Mosk and Vilkoop that has done this in optics through a diffusive medium, which was a kind of milk. And instead of using time reversal, they used a spatial light modulator, which is like the mirror I described for microwave, except spatial light modulator used liquid crystal. And in fact, they learn how to maximize through a very complex medium a wave. I think it was around 2010. It was the fundamental paper that showed that in optics you can go through the fog, through diffusive, and you can find a way to focus perfectly. But in their case, they were monochromatic because it was the light. And in our case, we are very broadband here. And when the combination of frequency diversity plus spatial diversity was quite interesting in our case.
Thank you very much. So we really welcome other questions from other people. So please come forward with your question. This can be on industrial applications or more fundamental aspects of time reversal or
It's the end of the year.
people are actually, since you mentioned this just before the webinar, I think you said that you are actually looking into COVID now, a way to find if people have COVID or not, but a different way.
Yeah, no, it's an acoustic wave, but I will not tell you about this because the patent is not.
Okay.
We have a nice, huge time reversal mirror with acoustic wave that look to a guy, and we try to find things about the lung, but
Okay.
it's a nice experiment that a guy in our lab, Roskiri Ing, is pushing.
Ah, okay, Roskiri. All right.
Yeah.
He's the person who was involved with you. He's one of founding members of Ultrasonics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ross is the guy that make the company Sensitive Object.
Ah, Sensitive Object, yeah.
That use time reversal to create tactile surface.
And if I'm not mistaken, George Sharpark was involved in one of your companies as well. George Sharpark.
In supersonic imaging.
In supersonic imaging, all right.
He was interested by medical imaging, and we created the company. He was with us.
And you have also diversified your activities with Michael Tanter, no? You have towards more medical applications. What did you do exactly in this within CERN?
Yeah, but now Michael has a group which is only medical. Yeah. But we are doing something that use focusing through the reeds to try to. We have made a company whose name is Cardiac, and the idea is that when you have a calcification, an aortic calcification, if you send a shock wave on this calcification, you can soften it. And the problem is that the valve is moving during the cardiac cycle, and you have to track the calcification during the cardiac cycle to send shockwave just on the calcification to soften it. And there is an apparatus that is tested now in different hospitals, and the first results seem to be very interesting. Everything was slowed down by the COVID, but there is a medical application. But I was at the in the first part of this, but now it's really more medical. I prefer to come back to physics and telecommunications.
I think that Stéphane Brûlé has a nice comment to make about École Supérieure Physics Chimie Paris.
Dear Professor, maybe you have some disturbance with boring machine for piling inside the place of ESPCI, not right? There are some rocks.
I am not sure.
Is there a drilling machine inside the ESPCI because you have an extension of the...
Oh, yeah. Now the school is in complete nightmare. It was really distracted. I think it's very good for people that work on seismology. When the buildings are falling down, when they are playing with this, it will be nice. This is why somewhere we move outside of the school. We have a better location.
For people who don't remember this, so École Supérieure Physique Chimie Paris is really where Pierre and Marie Curie had their lab. This is where they... and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's very interesting right now. You are hosted by the Institut Physique du Globe in Paris.
Yeah,
so you have a proximity with geophysicists. And,
and in fact, many people at Institut Langevin are working with people of Institut Physique du Globe on a new seismic technique. for granular medium, for seismology, by using the noise, the seismic noise. And we are doing different things on this year.
So I think it's really fascinating because in your career, you have worked on optics, water waves, seismology, and you apply systematically the same kind of tools, essentially. These are the same mathematical tools. And you jump from one field to the next.
You must know that this mirror that we built for electromagnetic wave, the idea come in Brittany, but because we were working in the lab on spatial light modulator, which are these small mirrors that can change their property. And suddenly we say, oh, why we don't try to build the same, but for microwave? At this time, this was existing only for optical wave, and this spatial, and the connection between optics and ultrasound and microwave in the lab was very useful.
Okay, so we really welcome questions from young people or more senior people. So if you have a last question for year 2020, which was a very stressful year, but we had at least a very enjoyable webinar to finish it. The last question, perhaps, and then we can wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Okay.
People are afraid. No problem.
Yeah, I think you know, it's very can be very impressive. So I would like to wish everyone a very nice Christmas break, and I hope that we can resume these webinars all together next year. We shall start next year with a webinar from Graham Milton on the theory of bonds. That will be chaired by Muammer Kadik. And thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today, for supporting the idea of this webinar series. And thank you so much, Professor Fink, for this final work of 2020.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, Professor Fink. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe, everyone. Stay away from this horrible virus.
We'll try.
We try our best.